Oi, oi. Hope everyone is having a lovely Saturday, and welcome back to another edition of UKPS. One day I'll work out how to push record, how to do all this setup before I push record. Right now, I'm just going with the flow. I can't do it. If I push, I can't. The record disappears if I put it on a full screen. Anyway, lifers. Are they all just evil? Are they all just beyond repair, beyond reproach, beyond redemption? Do they deserve to be where they are? Do they deserve to get life in the first place? Do all you lot agree with people getting life? Do you agree with life sentences for some crimes? Very, very few men that I've met in there would be that I would class as truly wicked or evil. You talk to them and you feel their vulnerabilities, you hear their vulnerabilities, you find out that no matter what they look like on the outside, all scarred up and a bald head and muscles and tattoos and giving it large on the wing. You talk to them in their cell and, they got a bird, they got kids, they got a mum they care about, they got brothers, sisters that they'll get, that they love and miss and all that, and they might be the main breadwinners on the out, and now they're inside, everything's fell apart, so you sort of go, oh yeah, I can understand why you've been like this, but there's a group of interviews that I'm going to try and hit you up with one every day, as long as the old powers that be permit it. But yeah, they're all from different walks of life. They're all different people. They're all lifers, obviously, but they've all got a different story to tell. You can make up your right mind whether they are truly wicked, but I'm going to start off with a geezer that I wouldn't want to share a cell with, let's put it this way.
This houses inmates who have asked for protection or are considered too dangerous for normal location.
I should have said beforehand, this is the block. 1980, this is the block. I would say the only thing, probably one of the only main things that have changed for these sort of people is there's more of them nowadays, and they've probably got a TV, but other than that, I would say you're doing life. Are they screws or traffic wardens? You couldn't take that serious, could you? Get back! I just thought of that. They literally look like traffic wardens popping down the landing.
On D-Wing, most lifers do not present a threat to authority. But there is a minority who have to be watched with extra care. These prisoners, some of the most dangerous men in the British penal system, are classed as Category A.
All Category A's, they're either considered to be...
Category A's obviously existed then, they still exist now. I don't believe all the other categories existed then. I believe it was, you was a Category A, and then everyone else. I don't believe there was a B, C and D, but I haven't looked that up. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. That that the categorizations come in later, possibly in the 90s. I don't know. Yeah, but I believe back in these days it was you was a prisoner, or you was a Cat A prisoner, and Cat A's would probably say for the lifers, and double A cats like this geezer.
A danger to the public, a danger to the place, or a danger to the state. All terrorists are considered to be a danger to the state. It means that any visitor I have has to be vetted by the police. Inside, it means that all my movements are logged in the Category A book. I can't go anywhere without an officer. All Category A's are moved separate to other prisoners round about the jail. I have a special cell, Category A cell, got extra set of bars on, reinforced out walls.
Why?
It's got a Category A.
That's all for show, isn't it? I mean, extra set of bars and a bigger brick or whatever. Thicker bars and a bigger brick and thicker windows. Why? My God, mate. It's just to justify it to the public, innit? These are scary cat A's. These are scary cat A's. Scary cat A's. So that's what some people would think anyway, not me.
Mark on the door, capital A.
How do the other prisoners react to you?
Well, other prisoners are sometimes advised not to associate too much with Category A prisoners. Category A prisoners can...
Please, someone hit me up. Yeah, is that Trevor McDonald talking? I don't even. Or do all old interviewers just sound like him back in the day? They sound like Trevor McDonald to me. I could be wrong. Please, someone hit me up.
Considered to be subversive, troublemakers, and that type of thing. You know.
Have you ever been violent or subversive?
I've been a bit subversive because I advise other inmates of their rights in prison and means and ways around the regulations, things like that.
But what about violence?
Yeah, I've been violent in prison and in other institutions that I've been in.
I mean, as a guess, is that longer now? Would that be higher amongst them now because more things are known? Possibly. If I were that to predict, maybe, possibly yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a professional, but they're still pretty high anyway, isn't it? 40%. I would probably guess that less things were known about up there back then, so there was probably fewer problems to choose from. So, you know, if you didn't have one of the few, then you was probably classed as there's nothing wrong with you. They're still pretty high though.
But if I can pick up your story, you broke your license and then went
To another
proof school, and from there
I went to Rampton. What was I was in the proof school?
Rampton, for those that don't know, is it's like Broadmoor. It's a psychiatric unit. It's a hospital, really, a high security hospital. People say, like, what is it? The eyes are the window to the soul. I mean, just cover the rest of his face and just look at his eyes. He don't look like he messes about.
I was charged with attempted murder on another boy there, you know, and I was sent to Rampton as a moral defective under the 1930 Mental Deficiency Act. And 3 years later, I attacked a nurse with an iron bar.
You can't condone none of it. And I just want to point that out right now. I'm not condoning any of this. This is just what he was saying. Someone looks like they done something in his eye shot jar. They see his eyes go. Look at him. Yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to make that just to clear that up right now. That I'm not condoning any of this. He's clearly done wrong, and yeah, this is just his story.
For which I received a 20-year restriction order from the assize court, the judge, and that wouldn't be ended until next year. My life in Rampton was rather turbulent. For the 5 years preceding the attack on the nurse, I spent 5 years virtually in solitary confinement, or seclusion as they call it there. You know, I'd spend 3 months in, they'd get me up for a couple of weeks, and the charge nurse would say to me, "You don't look very well, David." He says, "I think it's time you were put back in seclusion," and I was back into seclusion.
5 years, man. What is it nowadays? You can't go be down there down the block longer than 2 weeks without being checked by a doctor, and they'll say, "Oh, maybe you need to keep him down here or whatever." 5 years straight, man.
And
They were afraid you would attack people.
I was, yes,
You then went to Broadmoor, and at Broadmoor, of course, you had this.
incident before. I started off by taking hostages. I held 2 hostages there by myself. Neither of the hostages came to any harm.
It sort of makes you wonder, though, doesn't it? He's been at all these psychiatric units, and he must go, "Well, he must have caused so much trouble that they've gone, okay, you're sane now." Is that how it's meant to work, or am I getting it wrong? Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but that's the sort of impression that it leads to. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
There was never any intention on my part to actually harm them. I was emotionally involved with a young patient there, and in 1977, Bob and a lad called.
He's talking about Bob Maudsley, the longest serving prisoner down the block in the world, I think. He's been in like a Hannibal Lecter type cage for like 47 years. This come out the other day. Yeah, if you don't know who Robert Maudsley is, look him up. Yeah, he done a lot of damage behind the door, and yeah, that's what got him put in that sort of Hannibal Lecter-esque cage with a light on, and 47 years straight, man. He's still in there now.
Called Alan. Held my mate Philip hostage, you know, and during the hostage situation, Alan actually.
You get what he's about to say. Yeah, I'm trying to work around it a bit.
Raped him.
Yeah. So his pal got taken into a cell by them two, and the other geezer done that to him.
And a few weeks later, when Alan came out of seclusion, he actually came up to me and bragged what he was doing, what he'd done, you know. So when I actually saw Maudsley, or Bob, I asked him exactly what happened, and Bob confirmed that during the night Philip was raped. So I
Again, just have to try and be careful around that bit.
said to Bob that it was my intention to kill Alan for what he'd done. And over a 3-month period,
Some would say that's understandable. Some would say that's a bit extreme, because it's not. You can't really say it's not a life for a life, is it? Yeah. Does he deserve it? Did the geezer that did that to his pal? Did he deserve this?
I actually planned the whole thing out. You know, got to remember that this actually happened in a maximum security ward, you know, equivalent to a block in prison. And on a Saturday morning, following a football match, we actually took Francis hostage, if you like, hostage, you know, but barricaded the door up, and over.
I mean, Bob's a bit of a turncoat, though, isn't he? I mean, he took his pal, then got involved in this one as well with this, like, with the geezer he took his pal with. It's Broadmoor, though, isn't it? I mean,
2 or 3 hour period, I assaulted him a few times, kicking him in the ribs.
Yeah, I mean, he don't mean the other thing in when he says assaulting him. He's talking about a physical beatdown.
rips and things like that. Well, at the actual time, I knew precisely what I was doing. I knew that what I was doing was wrong. And I knew the consequences of my action. A couple of hours, or about 2 o'clock on the day, Francis said to me, he says, I know you're going to kill me. Get it over with, you know. And Bob said, I said to Bob rather, I said, pass me the garrote.
Used to strangle, yeah, another word for that, for strangle.
So we both strangled him there and then. You know, he was tied up. We tied his hands to his feet so he couldn't move. And after strangling him for about a minute, I said to Robert, I says, he's dead, you know, because he urinated, all the muscles relaxed, a lot went. And I believed he was dead. You know, I even checked his pulse. And I said to Bob, I said, he's got no pulse, he's dead. You know. And Bob wasn't satisfied that Alan was dead, you know. So he strangled him again, and he put 240 volts from a...
Yeah, old Robert Maudsley, you should look him up actually, look up what he did in there. He did not mess about. I mean, like a couple of wires into the gate, mate. Yeah, he didn't mess about.
Record player laid through his chest, you know, and we covered him up, and about 9 hours later I summoned the nurse who was outside the room, and I said, this is a murder case.
How could you do such a thing? Such an evil thing to this man?
I don't know to this day. You know, it's...
And you can tell he's telling the truth, I believe. They say, like I said about his eyes ain't lying. I don't know. You just get swallowed up in the moment. Again, not justifying it, totally wrong, but I don't know. It's a truthful answer rather than trying to think of a stupid answer that you think the cameras want to hear, you think the smart geezer sitting in front of you wants to hear, Trevor McDonald wants to hear. I don't know. You can tell he's telling the truth.
It was an horrendous thing to do, you know. Possibly because I know what violence feels like, because I've had extreme violence used on me. You know, I nearly lost. After I attacked the nurse in 1963, I had extreme violence used on me. Persistent violence, you know, systematic. So, and I nearly lost my life. Doctors thought I was dying. I had a ruptured kidney, and I was black and blue head to toe, you know.
Again, not condoning what he did to the nurse. I mean, he's totally wrong for doing it. But when he's saying he was like, you know, he suffered because of that for years, that's enough. That's PTSD. I mean, it didn't exist then, did it? But nowadays, I would say a lot of prisoners, just, I'm thinking, I've never looked into it, but I'd probably say a lot of prisoners probably suffer from PTSD, possibly.
You know, so in some ways I've become accustomed to violence, you know. I knew what violence was all about, you know. I'd seen violence around me all the years I spent in Rampton. And it was everyday occurrence to me. I was living with very violent men. I've had many labels attached to me over the years, you know, from being maladjusted, moral defective, and eventually a psychopath.
That's what I'm saying. Did the first two even exist anymore? What did they say? I forgot. I can't even remember what he said, but yeah, that's what I mean. The pool of things that they say is wrong was was so small back then, you know. So yeah, I get, but you're gonna find with all these people. Like I said, I'm gonna release one a day. You'll find with all these people, none of them sound stupid. Maybe we're getting stupider as time's gone on, because all these sound like they would intellectually destroy anyone. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we're getting dumber as the time's moving on. You never know. Quickly, if you want any prints, if you want any t-shirts done, if you want any invitations, if you want any leaflets, anything to do with work, anything personalised, get in contact with All Star Sweets. I'll leave the link in the description below.
I dispute the fact that I'm a psychopath. I accept the fact that I have a personality disorder. But I don't believe personally that that personality disorder amounts to psychopathic disorder. Certainly not within the definition of the Mental Health Act, you know, because all the doctors.
See, he's obviously looked at it. I mean, I'm presuming that was this is his cell. I'm presuming this is his pad. To see that what he had on his table, just all folders, paperwork. Some people are like that. Some people, especially in there, like, you know, some people, they're like that everywhere, aren't they? But, you know, they focus in on something, and he'll be the person that can get everyone else out, but can't do nothing for himself.
Agree on one thing, that I'm not treatable, that I don't suffer from a treatable disorder. And it's my argument that if I'm not treatable, then I don't actually suffer from a psychopathic disorder. You know, it's a personality disorder. What I'm actually doing, I'm bearing my soul. You know, I'm standing naked before you, really. A thing that I wouldn't even do with staff, prison officers, you know, or other prisoners, you know.
But I know you felt you wanted to say something about regret.
Yeah, well, I have a number of regrets. I deeply regret the suffering I've caused to others, even though at the time I thought I was justified in what I did, you know. But there can be no justification for taking another man's life.
Do you believe what he's saying right now? Or do you think he's playing it? Or do you think he's trying to play some sort of system somehow? Again, if you look in his eyes, they don't seem like they're lying. I know which side of the fence I'd sit on.
I'm very ashamed of the disgrace and the shame I brought on my own family. You know, because there's many victims. You know, there's not only the person who lost his life. There's all his family. They're all victims.
Thing is, he probably thinks this after every time he loses it. You could just imagine him losing the plot, seeing red, and just snapping for a half hour. I bet he regrets it every single time afterwards.
All my family, they're all victims. And last but not least, there's myself. I'm a victim. I'm a victim of my own actions. You know, I'm also a victim of the system. I've spent 23 years inside. Another regret of mine is that I haven't led a normal life. I don't know what it is to lead a normal life, you know. I've never married, you know. I'd like to have married. I'd like to have had children. I'd like to have brought the children up and watch them growing up and do the things that fathers do, you know. But that's something that I'll probably never experience, you know, and I'm very sad about that.
Do you think he'll ever be released?
No, I don't. You know, from where I'm sat now, I accept the fact that if I am ever released, I'll probably be an old man and infirm. You know, I can't see the Home Office accepting that responsibility. And I have to admit it'd be a terrible responsibility for anyone to accept, to release me.
Well, like I said, there's not many people, from my experience, that you that have that look about them, as if to say, "I will go there." He went there, innit? He went there a few times. Are they built different? Were they built different back in the day? Were people built different back in the day? Were they just tougher? Again, I'm not condoning anything he's done. He was, there's a reason he ended up in Broadmoor and Rampton, which are psychiatric units. I do wonder though, right, why you get deemed sane all of a sudden if you're kicking off. It is weird, but I'm sure there was total legitimate reasons why he was. Got to big up Nicky G from Tottenham. All the best things come from Tottenham, didn't they, mate? Yeah. Big up the mighty Spurs. I bet you're an Arsenal fan. I do apologise if you... Actually, I don't. I support Tottenham. Big up Nicky G anyway. Big up all the listeners. Tune in again tomorrow. And we'll see each other soon. Adios.